take on the darkness, stare down deceit. Murder in the headlines, justice in the beat. From cold case whispers to killers in disguise, we rip off the mask, expose all the lies. Facts like bullets reload and deliver. Truth cuts deep like a blade in a river. Corruption shakes when the mic goes live. We dig where others won't survive. James rolling through the smoke. Truth hits hard, no time for a joke. Deceit, murder, we name every name. No restraint, no shame, just flame. Locked on the case, we investigate.
This is 12 Gauge Investigative. Let's jump in.
You'll ever need 12 Gauge Investigate. We make them bleed. No games, no censors, just truth. Justice is loud, and we're the sound. This is 12 Gauge Investigative.
Good morning, everyone. My name is 12 Gauge, and this is my channel, 12 Gauge Investigative. Hope everybody's having a beautiful morning. I know it's kind of early for most, but I'm usually up at this time, ready for the gym and all that above. So I thought I'd get on here and take a look at some of these photos on my own perspective rather than having to watch them on other people's platforms. And I thought I'd share it with you as I went along and did that. Also, I'm going to take you through the apartment without anything in it so that you can get some kind of perspective on what you're looking at in these photos. I can't actually go into Brian's office, obviously, but we can look at his apartment. I've done a video like this before, and I've even left it in a short, but this will give you a different perspective, and I hope that you enjoy it. So good morning, Aquarius. Good morning, Jack. How you doing? Long time no see. Hope everybody's doing well. And if you come into the sidelines and you want to come into the chat, go ahead and come on in. We welcome you. Well, without holding up anymore, let's go ahead and walk into Brian's former residence, shall we? This is the 2-bedroom Steptoe apartment, and I'm gonna try to slow it down so that you guys don't really get really get a good perspective because it's only 52 seconds long. So we'll go ahead and go in here. And this is on a WSU campus. Obviously, that is the entranceway. Let me slow it down a little more. That is the entranceway, obviously. And you're going to see in some of these pictures that I have viewed, you're going to see some of the areas that it shows here. And you'll be able to really kind of coordinate what you're looking at. Obviously, as you walk in to the left, this is the kitchen area. You walk down the hall. This is one of the apartments, so I don't know if they're all built like this, but here's the restroom, and there is where the infamous selfie was taken. And we've also been told that when police arrived at this residence that the second apartment was locked so that there was nobody in that area. And I did see some photos that showed the stove and obviously the cupboards and stuff like this. You're going to be able to see a lot more stuff. In one of the pictures, there's a microwave. There looks like a blender, some kind of other stuff. I'm just giving this for a visual representation, and it's not set up like this in the pictures. I don't remember seeing it like this, but it gives you a visual representation of what you're about to see in some of the photos rather than just seeing the photos. You actually get to see the apartment in this whole thing. And this is the bathroom in which the infamous selfie was taken. And obviously, there's a heater in there as well. We never saw that. And this looks like one of the bedrooms. Doesn't look very big. Not big at all. That's a good question, Jack. Still haven't heard anything about that. Obviously, these were I wonder if they shared, like in a college dorm, you go into your freshman semester and you share closet space with your roommate. So I guess one of these was his and one was the empty bedroom because unless there was closet space in the empty bedroom, it's interesting to think about. Like I said, it's not a very big room, so it looks like on the other side there's probably a door and that goes into the other bedroom. Or they give you plenty of closet space since there's not much room for dressers and stuff in there, so that could be it. I'm sure we will see. Obviously, that is the balcony. So, thank you for WSU Apartments for the video. I bet they never knew they'd be having as many hits on these videos as they probably gotten. So let me go ahead and start the picture stuff. Hey Chris, thank you for being in here. And if you've watched this on anybody else's channel, I haven't seen all of them. And I'm not really going to go into a lot of them as far as detail. I'm going to try to, just comment on what I know or what I see rather than try to decipher anything from these. Obviously, I guess these are the stairs leading up to the Steptoe. And when you're investigating a crime, you take pictures of everything around what could be potential evidence gathering scenarios. And these rocks, obviously, it was a month after, so, you know, it had probably snowed and everything else. And if there was any blood droplets or anything that may have led up to the apartment, I don't know if there would have been evidence still available. You're right about that, Jack. His new room is even smaller. And that's, like I said, this is just a stairwell leading up to the Steptoe. This has nothing to do with back behind the house or anything like that. Like I said, they're just taking photos just to see later on as what we're doing. We're just looking at it to see if there's anything incriminating as far as evidentiary value. Was that a ladybug? Oh, I thought that was a ladybug. It's a bean or some shit. Seed. And obviously, it looks like back behind the Steptoe apartments. I believe that's where this is at. Or is this back behind the house? I guess if you know the answer to that, if you've heard other people talk about where this is, go ahead and type that in the chat. Like I said, it's the first time I'm seeing these. And if you watch my page, or my channel, you know that I'm not one of those that spends all day looking at stuff like this. That's interesting. But if this was blood, actually, it wouldn't be red like that a month later. I'm pretty certain of that. But you never know that either. But you gotta photograph what you gotta photograph, obviously. And I'm sure later on they found out that was probably not relevant. And here is the infamous picture from the 11/22. Um, this picture is like frozen in time. It's one of those pictures that you just wonder who were the last people playing beer pong, who won the game, did they get mad and knock over the cups, or was it just a fun game? You know what I mean? I think in another photo I saw the ping pong balls in one of these glasses. And there is, like I said, these photos they're being snapped to go back and look at them even more in detail, even under some magnifying glasses, I'm sure, to see if you're able to see anything of relevance. See, they're zoomed in. You can really see any kind of spatter or, smeared off blood from the clothing or anything like that. I think I was watching some channel talk about at one point hiding the knife in this vent. Yeah, you're going to take this apart, hide the knife in there, and put it back together. You only have so much time. That doesn't make sense. Why are you going to leave the murder weapon at the scene of the crime? Why not just leave it next to the sheath, right? And like I said, this is just a bunch of random photos. And like I stated before, if you've ever lived in a house such as this, it looks easy to take one of these things off and put them back appropriately. But if you've ever taken one off, you understand the difficulty of trying to line everything up perfectly and get it to stay. It's almost like there's always one side that's good, and then the other side just doesn't want to cooperate. It looks like they finally got this one to cooperate, and they walked off, like it's all good. See, this is a blurry picture, so obviously this is the stairwell going up to the third floor. This is the little storage area under the stairs. So if there's a broom and stuff like this in this one, chances are the same kind of stuff as in Bethany's room. The stairwell little door. It probably has storage or whatever for her suitcases and stuff like that. Because I don't remember seeing any kind of dressers or anything in there. And this looks like this would have probably been Xana's stuff, to be honest. She's the one that was from Arizona, so it looks like it would have been her stuff. Sad. Bank of America. And you can tell that couch has been used, you know. Look at all the marks of the leather, pleather, you know, being scraped off. And this is Xana's car, which they already have the crime scene tape up. They have a box with some kind of stuff, probably booties that have been used and stuff. Because believe it or not, as they were entering the residence after they figured out that it was a crime scene rather than just an unconscious person, you had to glove up, put booties on your feet, and also you got to keep those because you just don't know what kind of evidence you pick up on the floor that could be later identified as DNA or any other kind of source material. I remember seeing that officer take off his gloves and he was by the trash can. I can't remember if he threw them away or not, but if he did, you know, he could have thrown away material. And I believe this is Xana's car. There's her lanyard. Obviously, there's some stuff they found in the car. There's her license plate. Wonder what this is just for protection or what? You know, many people have said, well, that $2 bill that was rolled up or circled up, there's a dollar bill right there that looks like it's kind of rolled up too. Doesn't mean anything other than possibly that was a nervous habit. You ever notice sometimes when you have cash in your hands, you roll it up, fold it up, all kinds of stuff. Sometimes people have nervous tics like that. I've rolled up dollar bills like that myself. Yeah, that's true, Chris. One era, many was leaving the sheets at the scene. What purpose would it serve to discard at the scene with no other clues? BK would surely have sterilized the sheets by cleaning it prior. But that's interesting about the dollar bill. And there's some change, obviously. Excuse me. I don't believe that we're going to see anything in these photos that's going to be relevant to what the crime actually possessed, other than to paint a picture of the people that drove these vehicles or whatever. Because and where Koberger lived, obviously, in the office in which he shared. But you have to understand, anything that's found outside the house is circumstantial evidence. It's not actual evidence in the home. So if this stuff is found outside, um, circumstantial. You're painting the picture that this could have possibly been attributed to the crime. You know what I mean? And there's an old iPhone. Like I always talk about the tag and bag. Here's the measuring point of reference where the evidence is found. And there is the infamous Range Rover. And last night I did a video on a total different topic, but I was talking about, how people say that there was a lot of drug dealing going on in this home and this and that. I'll go ahead and keep mine over there. Think about if they were really making that kind of money, they wouldn't have these type of vehicles in the parking lot. They'd have some sports cars, they'd have dirt bikes in the back, they'd have all kinds of stuff that people would be buying when they're trying to dispose of that funny money. You know what I mean? But it looked like they just lived a normal life. Just a blurry picture too. That looks like a purse though. And here's Maddie's car. Looks like these vehicles look like people's first vehicles that go off to college. Economic. You're looking for gas mileage. You're looking for reliability, safety features. This is a 4-door sedan. Dana's was 2 doors, I think. Um, and Kaylee had a different vehicle until she was completing college. So it was all economical. What normal people do, they go to college for the first time. They don't necessarily get the high end vehicles to start your freshman year. And obviously, this is some mail that was probably found in that vehicle. And I'm always confused as to who really drove this. I know Ethan drove it, but I believe I've heard multitude of stories. Him and Hunter, his brother, drove it as well. But it was parked here too. And I don't know whose black SUV this is. If y'all know, go ahead and type it in the chat. And once again, we're back in the house. That looks like a crumpled up sweatshirt, which probably was Kaylee's because if that was her purse in the vehicle, that looks like something that is an additive to that black and gold purse, which could be a change purse or something like that, where you keep your IDs and things like that. And now we're back at Steptoe. Okay, thank you, Chris. So both of those vehicles were registered to the Chapins. Thank you for that. I didn't know who the black SUV was, but like I just showed you the video of when you walk into the Steptoe, it's pretty on point, right? There's the doorway, and in this variation, the kitchen to the right, not to the left. At least that's what it looks like. I know that's the living room. That would have been the view outside. This looks like the patio area because there's the patio bars. So it would have had a screen door type thing to the patio. And obviously, had some furniture out there. Those chairs look familiar. I've had some of those in my group room before. You get those at Walmart or Sam's, whichever, and that table as well. Makeshift, little patio area. As you can tell, it's already snowed over. This looks like a stack of bricks. I've seen people actually doing this. Is this a stack of bricks? I wonder why he had those stacked up there. I don't know. That looks suspicious to me. Why would he have a stack of bricks? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 bricks. Is that suspicious? It's weird that they have 2 vehicles there, but I'm not sure there's a reasonable explanation. Thank you for that. Like I said, all this stuff would be circumstantial because it's not the actual crime scene. And this is like a month after the crime occurred. So I'm not sure what really any relevance of these photos would have as evidence. And I heard people talking about, you know, some of the stuff that they do find or photographed here in Brian's apartment. Why they didn't take it for evidence? Because let me fill you in on this. They have a search warrant, right? They're looking for digital and physical evidence. Now, chances are they probably took the vacuum cleaner. This is probably something that they did take. Just because it's in the photo does not mean that they didn't take it after the photo was taken. This is kind of giving you this is how I found it. This is what was there. I didn't bring it in myself. I didn't plan it. And this is what I'm taking. You bag it, you give it a number, and you move on with your life because we heard a lot about this vacuum cleaner. And there's obviously, some stuff up here that he either left or didn't care about. You have to remember the mindset of Koberger when he left here, okay? If he indeed knew that they were on to him or he was fearful of that, do you believe that he's going to take the time to take everything in that little car? No. Chances are he probably thought, well, there's a chance I could be back and there's a chance I could not be back. For the chance of me not being able to come back, let me go ahead and just leave some stuff that's really not that important to me anymore. So the fact that there is stuff still in these closets, still in these drawers, I've moved out of houses, and I'm not trying to compare myself to Koberger, but I've moved out of houses where I just running out of room in my car because I used to move out of my car, you know what I mean? So I'd be like, well, I'm leaving this. See, he left the hangers. And we don't know if they took these hangers for dusting, printing, DNA swabbing. You don't know. Just because it's photographed did not mean that they left it there. It's merely showing you this is what I found. I'm going to take a picture of it as I found it. We're going to tag and bag it so that there's proof that it was there before we tagged and bagged it. We didn't put it there ourselves. Like some of this stuff, this is a toilet paper roll looking thing. This looks like laundry detergent, an old box. Whether he thought he was coming back or whether he didn't, all this stuff can be bought again. A lot of these papers, I'm sure he probably thought, well, I might be leaving this apartment for the last time. I better not take none of this, just in case it has some evidence on it. Thank you for that, Jack. And there is a lot, there's a lot. And there's a bank card right there or some kind of credit card. This is some masking tape or something. I mean, you can make anything out of this stuff. You can say he was going to use this masking tape to tie people up or cover their mouths with it or whatever. No, I'm sure you go into any home in America, and I'm not taking up for Koberger. I'm just merely bringing logic as I see it to these photos. I don't see nefarious acts here. I don't. This looks like somebody that left in a hurry, packed it up, and said, let's go. See, there's a scratch off ticket that hasn't even been scratched off. Looks like a birthday card. Why wouldn't you take any of this stuff with you? Wouldn't that be a bitch if that was a winner? What if that was a maximum jackpot winner and he didn't even scratch it off? Just kind of threw this stuff in there like, it's not important. And this is a drill, for what? You need a drill like that in your apartment, and you can't tell me that anybody who's lived in an apartment or a home doesn't own one of those, right? I mean, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool how they got some of this stuff, but, you know, he was a TA, so he needed to be presentable. I'm sure he ironed his shirts, creased his pants, whatever. You need an iron. You don't know you need an iron until you don't have an iron. You know what I mean? That's a good point, Chris. If his status was in jeopardy, then he knew that he wasn't coming back. Morning, Jeff. He knew he wasn't coming back. So why am I going to take all this stuff if it potentially has any evidentiary value that I have not found or see to the naked eye that somebody could see that this tied me to the crime? Because you don't know if you're shedding the victim's DNA all over this stuff when you came back. Just because he thought he cleaned everything good, he did bring himself back to the residence. And to sit there and say, well, he didn't take any of the stuff, so why didn't he take it? Was he coming back? I don't believe he was coming back. I believe he left a lot of this stuff because he knew he had it at the time of the murders. And for the sake of anything else, they could have, there could be microscopic evidence on this stuff that tied him to the murder. And he probably knew that. That's why this ain't coming with me. You know what I mean? If he even thought that way, maybe he thought that he got away with it. You know what I mean? Well, he could have been planning on returning. I don't know. I don't have a little crystal ball. I don't have any of that. I mean, to me, I'm just saying that, sometimes you just leave stuff that is not really that important to you. Or maybe his mindset wasn't clear. Like I said, this scratch off ticket was not even scratched off. This looked like some kind of manual or something, some kind of, you know, writing pad. I mean, you're right. I'm not, I'm speaking for myself. I'm not speaking for anybody else in the chat. You know what? If you believe that he was possibly coming back, then he was possibly coming back. I'm not trying to change your mind or plant a theory in your head. You know what I mean? I'm just speaking for myself because there is a lot of stuff in here. You're right. And there's a knife right there, right next to the card. That is CVS card, looks like. iCard. CV, yeah, CVS looking card. There's a knife right there. And you have to wonder what kind of evidence was left on all this stuff because they had to go through it. Here's some goggles, a knife. This looks like ammunition for the gun. So, did he have a gun there? Because why would you have ammunition if you don't have a gun? Why would you buy ammunition unless he was buying it to take it home with him? I mean, I don't know. Y'all help me out. Yeah. I mean, this would have been like, well, if they throw away all this stuff, whatever, I can buy it again. But that's interesting. I saw this a while ago and I didn't realize this was an ammo box. Looks like an ammo box. Maybe not. It says pro grade flathead. My bad. 9 by 2.5. These are screws. My bad. Retract that statement about the gun and the ammo and all that stuff. I'm still half asleep, I guess. I saw the pro grade and I was like, oh, these are bullets. See how that happens? These are flathead like screws, it looks like. Let me zoom in there. See if I can see it. Interior gold zinc. Yeah, those are screws. My bad. I'm not trying to create conspiracy here. My bad. But this is a knife. I know I know this is a knife. Goggles. Here's a better shot from it. There it is. There's some goggles and these are flathead screws. My bad, my bad, my bad. And this is that duct tape type stuff. I mean, because you just never know when you might need some duct tape around the apartment. For real. These are, you probably have some photos hanging up and stuff. GE, this looks like light bulbs. I mean, if you're a bachelor, you know what all this stuff is. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just random shit that you throw in a drawer or you throw in a cupboard, empty boxes, because you just never know if you're going to have to return this shit, right? At least he's stocked up on toilet paper and detergent, right? And see, they're taking photographs to see if there's any blood spatter on it that's visible to the eye. Is there any kind of blood on this, on the boxes? And that's what these photos are for. They're not to show what the stuff is, more than is there any evidence on it, you know? And that's why it's so neatly stacked. But this is interesting, this knife. I bet they swabbed the hell out of that. And they probably got his DNA also, Did they see any blood spatter on these inside walls? Did he rub against it? That's interesting. There's two of them. People have been making a big deal out of this damn card. I did see that much. I still don't see the significance in it, other than probably somebody was trying to be funny and mess with him. But this is his TV. And obviously, he had a criminal justice book. See, I don't even bother buying books anymore. They're all electronic downloads. But supposedly, there was a fire stick in this. Well, thank you, Jeff. Yeah, I mean, that was that. My mind said, "Is that a bullet container?" And then I got to reading it. Nah, that's a screw box. It had screws in it. But I heard that there was like a fire stick in this TV. Like I said, you hear so much stuff, you don't know what to believe anymore. Also, I'm sure the apartments has somebody come in that cleans out the apartment. Had he not returned, all this stuff would have been in the trash. They wouldn't have looked through these books. You know what I mean? He was there, what, 4 months? 4 or 5 months? He wasn't there long. So these books he probably brought with him from Pennsylvania. And he probably thought, shit, I'm tired of lugging these damn books around. I don't need these anymore. I'm just speaking from experience. There's books and stuff that, you know, I would just leave behind. There's stuff I've left behind that I didn't intend on leaving behind. Because I left it and said I'll be back and never came back to get it. Yeah, one of them is still wrapped in plastic. Good eyesight. Good eyesight. Yeah. Like I said, a lot of these books people don't use. They use the online stuff to download it. It's easier to use than a freaking book. And that's a good eye right there. That one is still wrapped in plastic. But look, we don't know what this paper is. He looked like a little bit of a hoarder. But we don't know what that paper is. Is it anything of importance? Is it just manuals for the TVs and everything that he bought? I mean, I have a drawer just like this with all kinds of random crap. Random crap just thrown in there. The last thing I would want to do if I moved out is just go through it all. I'd just throw it away. Another box. See, as you're looking through this, you're going, do I really see anything? I mean, Jeff caught that's still in a plastic, but I didn't catch that the first time around. See, that looks like another kind of card right there. More textbooks looking stuff, more paperwork, a spiral notebook, more books. I mean, the dude was going to be a doctorate level criminologist. I'm sure he had his own library that he planned on putting these books in a bookshelf at one point in life. So there's a reason he probably kept them, you know? Maybe you should have unwrapped this one, Brian. Maybe you should have really looked into this one a little more. It's what the little things that you don't look at can come back to bite you, you know what I mean? Yeah, there's some interesting book titles. He should have unwrapped this one, bro. You should have really read this one front and back. Like I said, it's just photos to see if there's any blood anywhere, there's any kind of strand of hair, any fiber that you can see to the naked eye. They will probably went through this with a fine tooth comb, man. And see, even if that's nothing, it could be something. You know what I mean? They're doing a murder investigation. So they're gonna be photographing everything. Can you imagine being Ann Taylor or even Bill Thompson? I'd have to hire somebody to to go through these photos for me. Because I'm looking at them, I'm only an 81. And there's 699 of these bad boys. See, at least he put the remotes back there where he could find them. But people are fixated on this damn birthday card. It says, speak softly and carry a big stick. Unless you can ride a dinosaur, then do that instead. Like I said, somebody probably sent that as a joke. Isn't that what we do? We send funny cards to our loved ones or our friends to make them laugh. Look at 11, 21, 22. Both of your egos. It says you are a dino and professor. Laughing my ass off. And I was just talking about this last night, right? There's the actor. There's the chameleon. Somebody else saw it too. This is like that little AC unit control. That's what that is. This looks like Roku, and this is a TV remote. Like I said, I don't want to do that to every photo. Be like, oh, this is just a remote. But this card is interesting. But does it really show us something that we already don't know? We know Brian has that mentality to be presenting this person while really underneath he's the chameleon, you know. No eyebrow trimmer, Jeff. It says Brian. So chances are this is probably from the Asian chick. If I was a guessing man, and there's the kitchen, just showed you a while ago. That in fact does look like the refrigerator we saw in that walkthrough. The sink as well. And those nasty looking cupboards, the brown drab cupboard. Brian drank some coffee, obviously. There's a little microwave in the corner. You know, they never set these damn things up where it can be logical. They'll put electric outlet toward the corner of the place right next to the sink instead of putting them down here where they're away from the water where you can open your microwave door and everything efficiently. No, they put it all together right there where if you want it down the way, you have to run an electric cord. You know what I mean? It looks typical, man. I could be living in this place right here. Looks like somebody broke in and just took pictures of my old house. Nothing really special. Look, that's one thing you do to those sinks, man, is you scrape the hell out of them. One time we had to go and like get some spray paint, some glossy ass spray paint to spray paint over them because we weren't going to get our deposit back. We had to tape off all this so we wouldn't get the stainless steel all white. These things are hard not to scratch up. And I was thinking about the pots and pans, okay? If you were certain, there's some more duct tape. You were certain that you weren't coming back or you left in a hurry and you left your tools and you left the pots and pans, you would be thinking, well, the hell, the maintenance guy can have the tools The next person that goes in there, maybe they don't have any pots and pans. Maybe they can get these from the office or whatever. Because all this other stuff looks like paperwork and instruction manuals. I heard somebody making a big deal out of this. Let me see what that says. Now that is Brian's writing for sure. 07/11/22. What is that? Oh, those are pens and pencils. 7/11/22. That date doesn't stick out to me. That's true. He got pretty good tools, doesn't he? This is what I thought was interesting. Is like every other drawer that's irrelevant is messy as hell, but when it comes to stuff that he eats with, this is spick and span, all aligned together. He only has one fork. I guess he was preparing for the inmate life. The spoons. He has a lot of spoons. Yeah, the pizza cutter. Plenty of knives. Is this a premonition into the future of what was going to happen? Is that around the time he moved out there? I think so. 7/11/22. He could have had a code on there for his mailbox or his address or whatever. Like I said, you just take pictures of stuff, see if you run across anything incriminating. That's the one thing that I notice is the stuff that he eats with is stacked up nicely. The cutlery is put together in a place nice and neat. And a lot of this stuff that you buy, you can buy all over again. It's not so expensive that if you left it, that knife was this one right here is kind of like a when you cut meat with it, or you cut fish or cheese or whatever. That's what that is right there. You're not going to cut it with a butter knife or a paring knife or whatever. Chances are he probably had the knife before he had the pizza cutter. Because you're going to see in his freezer, and there's a pizza in there, I think. Like I said, a lot of this stuff can be bought at the Dollar Tree or somewhere else. You could buy it at Goodwill. I mean, you can buy it anywhere. At least the dude had the bare essentials. You know what I mean? You're going to take all this stuff back in your Elantra going back home. Where are you going to put it? Where are you going to put it once you get home? Because your mom and dad already have most of this stuff. They got toilet paper, they got shampoo, they got all that stuff. They got a coffee maker, they can have all this stuff. So why are you going to take yours? Where are you going to put it? This looks like tea bags and filter. And there's that white ass stove. I hate electric stoves. I guess I'm old school. I like the I like the gas stoves. I don't like the electric stoves. It's hard to not really hard to cook in them, but it's easy to burn your stuff. It either gets too hot or it doesn't get hot fast enough. At least the oven was clean. Like I said, the areas where he cooks, where he keeps his stuff, it's almost immaculate. The counters, see? But we do notice that in some of the inventory stuff, there are stains around the sink that they did find. You know, they did find some stuff in this apartment. If you look and if you remember the paperwork, this must be his bathroom probably. That's a cool little thing right there with a chair. It looks like a computer desk, but he's using it as like a towel holder. Or is this in the kitchen? Is this his table where he eats? Yeah, that's probably what that is. His corner table where he eats or ate. Because there's a, what do you call those? Placeholders? Yeah. I can relate to that though, Chris. I can relate to that myself. There's some things that are immaculate, and there's other things that are just like, I'll get those eventually. Pure life water. So he made sure he stayed hydrated for sure. Probably cooked with this too, because most people cook with bottled water. They don't cook with tap water for whatever reason. Yeah, placemat. Thank you, Mountain Mama. Good to see you. Serious, good to see you as well. Like I was saying earlier, there's some Parmesan sauce, there's some olive oil. You know, why are you going to take this with you? Virgin olive oil. Why are you going to take this food with you to your home in Pennsylvania when you know your mom has all this stuff? Your dad has it. Dad probably said, "Don't take that shit. What if it spills in the car? What if it does this?" But I think evidentiary, he probably had a lot of this stuff when the murders were committed, and he wasn't certain whether he brought anything back to the apartment that he couldn't see. So why take it with you? You know what I mean? That looks like a couple cans of tuna. Like I said, you could be looking in my old apartment. You really could. Most people's apartment looks like this. If they're single, this is where you store all the bullshit. Like the extra beans, the rice, all that stuff. This is where you store it. You know what I mean? It's like right above here. You're not gonna mix it with all that other stuff. Brown rice. That's a good point. Mountain Mama, Parmesan cheese. I don't know what vegans eat, but it looks like he mostly ate stuff that was organic. Or, he was on that keto diet type stuff. There's red pepper. He had a lot of spices. Wonder if Brian could cook it up, boy. I wonder if he was a hell of a cook. I don't know very many men that have that many spices. I have one, and it's like a Cajun seasoning. That is a good call. I like that. Good call. I got one Cajun Cajun seasoning and some Parmesan cheese, and that's it. Some honey, black pepper. I mean, it's out of convenience. You store the coffee filters, and the creamer or whatever, the Keurig cup. You store it right there next to the coffee maker. It's easy access. I don't know anybody in America that doesn't do that. Do y'all? It's out of convenience. He didn't like the caffeinated feeling, I guess. He got the decaf. Personally, I think drinking decaf is a waste. But that's my thoughts. I thought these looked like bagels. Some corn chips. Who knows what this is? Like I said, you're limited for space, so you're putting stuff all over the place. You know what I mean? It looks like they have a lot of space, but usually this is where your plates and all that other stuff go. I don't see any plates. So maybe Brian used paper plates. Maybe use disposable silverware. See, so putting stuff in Ziploc bags wasn't that big of a deal for him. That looked normal, you know? Looks like he did that anyways. As far as sorting his trash, I don't know about all that, but it looked like he used a lot of Ziploc bags in other areas of his life. Oh, there's some plates, bowls, salad plates. These are measuring cups and some cups. I laughed at this because you know why I laughed at this? If you're male in the chat, you tell me why I laughed at this picture right here. Because men know what is going on in this picture. Every man in America has done this at least once. Tell me, man, in the chat, why is that so funny? If you don't get it, I'll tell you, but tell me why that is so funny. Because women call us lazy all the time, right? We're so lazy that we won't fill up the ice tray. And most often, that ice tray is left on top of that refrigerator like that after you used it. Yes. I know so many people that leave that ice tray up there on top of that refrigerator like that until somebody says something about it and they go and wash it out and fill it up and put it back in the freezer. Oh, you're going to leave that ice tray up there so somebody else can fill it? You tell me, guys. You maybe women do it too, but I know I've lived with roommates and everything else, and that ice tray is always on top of that damn refrigerator. Always. I thought that was hilarious. I was like, Brian is kind of normal. And people ask, well, how come there's not dust prints and Amido black and all that other stuff? Because this is the preliminary. You walk through taking pictures. Oh, that's another thing too, Jeff. When you put it back in the freezer empty, yeah. No, it doesn't. But this is before they went in through there and dusted and did the Amido black and all the chemicals and stuff. Why do you want to take evidence pictures with all that stuff on it? Think a little bit, okay? Think a little bit. There's the dishwasher, it looks like, or the dish strainer. And now we're getting to his freezer, which this looks like my freezer right now. There's never enough damn room in there to put all your vegetables and all the stuff in there. And look at all those pizzas he ate. The boy liked him some pizza for sure. And half the time you move into a place, there's not an ice tray. You know what I mean? There's not an ice tray. So most of the time, these ice trays, you got to go buy new ones. People take them. But yeah, that looked like a lot of. You don't want to gain weight, but you're eating processed food. That doesn't make sense, Brian. I guess these are for cheat days. But he does have vegetables. I just ate these vegetables tonight. Recognize the package. Ah, Brian, you're eating taters. Somebody like to cheat on their meals. He's not really the strict vegan we thought. Look at these taters. Guess those are for his cheat days. Yeah, he does shop at Walmart. I noticed that too. Yeah, I don't want to use someone else's ice tray. Yeah, I've never moved into a place where there's been like ice trays left. These things are disgusting. They're disgusting. I've tried them. Meatless meat lovers, gluten-free pizza. So if you're telling me it's meatless, but you're calling it meat lovers, that's just telling me all I need to know about that. It looks like hot dogs or something like that, Jeff. I couldn't tell what that was. Like some ham or something like that. It looks like packaged meat. Doesn't look like hamburger meat or anything like that. Like I said, Brian could have had cheat days. You know what I mean? You have your cheat day, then you're gonna run it off. But he tried to be, healthy. It looks like. But I wouldn't eat none of this shit. I mean, if you eat it, more power to you. But the cauliflower pizza bowl, plant-based pepperoni, nah, hell no. I ain't teasing myself. If I'm gonna eat something that looks like something, I'm gonna eat the real thing. See, there's more Ziploc bags. So the boy liked to Ziploc his stuff. Like, I use it in a Ziploc it, you know? Mozzarella cheese right here. He likes some cheese. Tofu. I don't know what tofu is, but this looks like smart dogs. These are some hot dogs. I guess vegan hot dogs. Who knows? Almond breeze milk. Ugh, I don't. I like almond milk, but it's not my favorite. See, this drives me crazy. I cannot put a container of salsa back into the refrigerator like this. I have to put it in a container. It just drives me crazy. I don't know. It just doesn't look sanitary go dip your when you go dip your chip back into that bottle. It looks disgusting. You know what I mean? I can't do it. I cannot deal with that. It looks like he has, like I said, this looks like my damn refrigerator. Something exploded down there And he yet to clean it up. Because let me break something down to people. Brian was more normal than we give him credit for in some regards. Because these look like onion peelings. And he was a slob. He didn't clean it up. People say, well, he was OCD. That didn't seem to bother him. And these are hot dogs. So you tell me, if you're OCD about being clean, would that have drove you nuts? I can tell you what it drove me nuts if that bothered me that much. But obviously it didn't bother him. And he had something over here. I don't see no. I don't know what area that is. Maybe the attic or something. Or this is his desk area. The TV stand with all them books. Mass incarceration on trial. A trial by jury. Well, you got to be. Look, if you're being. If you're using your brain and you're not trying to fit a piece of puzzle into something that you want it to mean, there's books that you get like this when you're studying what he was studying. How are you going to learn if you don't get the books to teach you? I mean, maybe he was really into this stuff. Unsafe in the Ivory Tower, the sexual victimization of college women. Well, that's kind of shady, but I have books in my bookshelf that if people looked at them, they'd be like, 12, we need to talk. Rise of the Warrior Cop. Crazy. Let the Lord sort them out. America's Safest City. Trial by jury. Why the innocent plead guilty and the guilty go free. Charge. Yeah, it's interesting books. Not something normal people would read, I'm sure. Hey, PKC. Yeah, looks pretty lazy to me. That's what I'm saying. It looks like my refrigerator. Because I'm a self proclaimed lazy cleaner sometimes. I really am. And I'm not ashamed to say it. There's a lot of people just like that. It says, be careful with flowery language and contrast use of positive voice, harder to read and interpret. Make sure you adjust your aim with based on gap, which also need to emerge for burglary, reference a burglary. This looks like, constructive criticism from a instructor. And this was the research paper he was doing. It's raining nice and slow right now outside. I'm loving it. And see, this is him just talking about a case, breaking it down, what the issue was, what the rule is, what the analysis and conclusion, learning about cases. I mean, after all, he was going to school to do this for a long time, and he was going toward a doctorate. I go online, so all this stuff, I do this stuff online. Put the footnotes and everything else of, on my papers like that. That's all it is paper. Now he was going to be a PhD criminology major, right? Would you expect to see criminology papers, or would you want to see papers about cooking and all that other stuff? Now that would be interesting. This, it looks like just a bunch of paperwork that he worked on and he wanted to leave behind. But they still were looking through it, see if they could see any sorts or semblance of what later happened. Because, there could have been clues in all this. They just could have been a manifestation. They didn't know. They were just taking pictures and looking for theories. 48 degrees. That's just coffee drinking weather right there. Sitting on that porch drinking coffee. And these are upside down, obviously. Like I said, there's not a lot of stuff that you really see that you would be surprised to seeing in his apartment. But I'm sure looking through these papers as they did, they were looking for a pattern or some kind of directive of how the murders went down, and was he already researching it? Was he writing about it? Did he write a manifestation about it? You provide a lot of detail from the book, but it's not always directly relevant to the question. Focus on answering the question asked and only that. That's interesting. It's like deflecting from the question because you really don't know the answer. He still got an 87, though. The good answers, but you should only answer one question. Good support for your position. Well presented. A 95. So he goes on and on and on about overkilling the question answer. And you can't blame him for that. I mean, you're trying to do your best, right? More photos. Redacted photos, obviously. This looked like his office. I mean, the thing that the police had against them is he had a month head start on him. I would say at least for 3 weeks, 3.5 week head start. So that's a lot of time to go and clean out evidence, destroy evidence, be meticulous about what you were doing. See, we didn't see these clothes in that closet, so that must have been on the other side. Maybe he didn't like these shirts. He realized they didn't fit him good or they wasn't a good look. I've left clothes for other people before. Go donate the shit. I don't care. There's a comforter. What you don't see is the shower curtain. You don't see a shower curtain. Ugh. I think I'm gonna go back to sleep. This looks like his laptop right here. Bedding. I mean, you can go back to this video and slow it down, pause it, whatever you want to do. Take a screenshot, you know, zoom in. One of the reasons that I'm doing this is for people to not have to go download that big massive um portion. Here's the big question. Is Brian an under or over? That tells you everything you need to know if you can decipher whether he was an under or over person, which it looks like he might have been an over. So you over people, I'm sure you'd be happy about that. Over right here. At least his toilet's clean, right? That looks like a stain right there, like water damage, which would make a lot of sense. It's right next to the tub. Where's the shower curtain, Brian? Jeff wants to know. Yes, I did, Mountain Mama. I did too. I felt bad for her sister after that. Jeff wants to know where the damn shower curtain is. I want to know too. See, that's pretty damn clean. Like I said, he cleaned in some areas, in some areas he did not. That's where he took the selfie at. A double sink. At least you don't have to share a sink with the person. But you do share the bathroom. That's interesting. But he didn't supposedly have a roommate during this time. Damn the luck, right? The roommate probably, unlike Elliot Rodger, he probably would have killed the roommate as well. Unlike, or like Elliot Rodger, he would have killed the roommate if the roommate would have been anything like Elliot Rodger's roommates. Just sad that he killed those people. Does your tub look that clean? What's in the bag? Is that where the hoodie is? Is that where the is that where the shower curtain is? More bags. Once again, If you go to any dormitory or off campus apartment, you're going to find bags like this crumpled up. Just a given, bro. This looks like that other apartment. Or maybe that's the living room. Hell, there's the bathroom. So I guess the bathroom was further away than I realized. And there's the front door. I mean, people have to understand this wasn't like his permanent residence, like his home. This was just a place he was living and existing to get an education, nothing less, nothing more. There's a stain on the carpet, there's a stain on the carpet, stain, 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 stain. But you can really see these right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the process of elimination would tell you whoever lived here prior probably had their drinks on the floor watching TV or having parties and they spilt their stuff right there. I have a couch kind of like that, love seat. It has recliners on both sides. Not here, but it's in storage. I could see where people think he was coming back. It's a possibility. But let me ask you this. If you were coming back, why wouldn't you have just flown home and flown back? Left your car? Why would you drive all that distance and then drive all the way back? That's a lot of driving. See, it looked totally different from this angle. Obviously, it got kind of hot in that apartment. And once again, you don't know if he knew people were onto him and he staged his apartment like this for a form of a red herring. You know what I mean? You don't know. I don't know. Because you have to remember the last thing he wants to look is obvious. So if you come in there and you bust into his apartment, he's not wanting to look guilty. He wants it to look like, oh, he's not running. There's still stuff here for him. It looks like he's coming back. Well, I can tell you the police cleaned out his apartment, I'm sure. Or if they didn't take evidence from this, other than what we know about, then all this stuff is in the trash, long gone, Brian. Long gone. There's a bedroom with a that look like a computer monitor, desktop. Get you a computer chair, my man. That looks. Oh, I guess you use what you got. There's no way I'd be sitting on that hard ass thing for very long. I don't know about you guys. You tell me you'd be sitting on that damn hard ass stool doing video searches or whatever. No, 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 no. And there's a stain. That's it. I have that song playing through my head right now. Mama, I'm in love with a criminal, criminal, criminal. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Doo-doo, doo-doo-doo. It's a pretty good place, pretty big size. Like I said, I don't see anything in these photos that shouts out anything that you don't want to make up in your own mind. You know, 699 of these photos of a closet, an angle of a bedroom. There's his computer with the speakers, the keyboard. Like I said, he could have been coming back. There is the tower. Look at that dusty ass desk, though. Brian only cleaned the little part where he used. Not even that much. Look at that. Unless that's after they dusted for prints. More shirts. I'd hate to look at this bed with a black light, bro. You'd be seeing all kinds of stuff. Can you imagine turning the lights off? Be like, all right, get the black light. Let's see what this bed looks like. Like, Brian, damn, bro. Yeah, that would hurt my back. If they didn't, I don't think they dusted for this. It just looks like use. Like, rubbing on it or whatever. Not rubbing on it, but like, the keyboard scraping it up or whatever. That's plastic. Watch your word, 12. Yeah, that's a stalker mode right there. That's a hard ass stool. There's no way in hell I'd be sitting on that damn thing. And I sure as hell wouldn't just use two pillows. I know it. I know it. Serious? That is a lonely ass bed, right? But there you go. You can tell he's a real guy. Doesn't have matching pillowcases. And see, people are going to look at that as something nefarious. But how many guys do you really know? I'm talking about guys. I'm not talking about those other type of guys. I'm talking about guys. They don't give a damn what they're sleeping on. There's a miracle there's pillowcases on here. The fact that they're not matching, that says a lot too. Like I said, where the stains at? Where the stains at, bro? I bet that AC unit got a bunch of stains in it, on it. This wall next to his bed. I'm not trying to be nasty, but you know he was a lonely guy. Come on, man. He didn't have a girlfriend. Now, if you found like handcuffs and bondage stuff in here and all that stuff, that'd be interesting. See, this bed looks like it had been kind of made really fast. I bet he left in a hurry. I mean, come on. You got to imagine he wasn't just taking his time. There's cops already across the way because investigating that hit and run, you don't know if they saw you on body cam. You don't know if they got you. If people are watching your house, dad comes into town and you say, "We got to go. We got to go. We can't be, you know, staying around." Because as far as we know, dad didn't sleep that much. He flew in, they loaded up and they left. It wasn't this morning that they left the the standoff with Kopaka. More police presence. The last thing you would have wanted to be was around. You get what I'm saying? You're like, damn, I'm drawing these police over here. I gotta go. I gotta get the hell out of town. I don't care what we leave. Well, what about your dish? Oh, we're good, Dad. Let's go. What about nah, I'll just get some more when I get home. We're good. Do you need that? No, no, I'm good. Let's go. What about your dish? No, mom got dish soap. See, all this stuff is upside down. Like I said, you can take screenshots, go download this yourself. I'll put the link down in the description where you can get it. Because we're already at 462 and there's the fire stick. Supposedly that they took more paperwork, more books charged. Brian, don't you want those books? No, we're good. We need to go. We need to go, Dad. Well, don't you need that car? No, we're good. The hell is that? No, I don't think he cleaned up. I think he left it the way that Dad saw it. Dad was probably used to seeing his messy ass place. There's some batteries, more tablet stuff, more notebook, college spirals. People are saying Brian taking notes. Of course he's taking notes. He's going to classes. He's doing all this stuff for a PhD. Come on, man. How nefarious is that? Brian taking notes. He looks like he had journals. Oh, what does this mean? Oh, 2022. It looks like an important date for him. Whatever 0818, that's August 18, 2022. That when school starts. That's when he got to register. What? He does write like a little kid, though. He was practicing right here, it looked like. I don't know. Let me practice my name. Can you imagine seeing your professor write their name on your paper for the first time like that? You're gonna be like, "What the fuck?" See, this is upside down, but you can, like I said, you can screenshot it, turn it around. You get this the first time you change your address, they send you that big ass packet of shit you don't want. Happy birthday, Bri Bri. Once again, they misspelled the name on how they pronounce his name. Brian. He was hoping there was money or something. But the dude didn't even scratch off that lottery ticket, man. I wonder if it's a winner. He shopped at Safeway and Walmart a lot. We don't even have a Safeway here. One thing you don't see is condoms. You don't see girls' phone numbers anywhere. This obviously was from his mom or his dad or both. And there's that stupid looking card again. I was like, is that a Annabelle doll? See, I'm still tired. I need to go back to bed. I don't know why I got on here and did this. A compass. What is that? Something like that. Oh, Bri. Another knife. Look like somebody liked knives. Has a fascination with them, looks like. Because there's a knife there was another knife in another picture, and then he had a whole drawer full of like weird looking knives. There's that lottery ticket I was telling you about. There's the knife I was telling you about. This is a little bitty knife. Almost like a paper cutter almost. Like um envelope opener. And these are just repetitive photos. We've already seen these. See, that's obviously going to be evidence number one. Some kind of knife aspect thing. This looks like a fishing line cutter. That's what that looks like. People are going to say, that looks like a stun gun. Taser. I don't know what that is. That looks familiar, though. Oh, No, it's a glove. What the hell? It's a black nitrate glove. Oh, your boy livened up at that, didn't he? My bad, that's not a knife after all. Once again, 12 gauge is wrong. This is a black nitrate glove. Whoa. It is early in the morning, so I haven't had my coffee yet. That is a glove, a used glove at that. Maybe he was ziplocking his trash and forgot. He threw that in the cupboard. More receipts. Probably rent payments. I was right about CVS, though. It was a CVS card. Is that Walmart? It is. It's that Walmart receipt with the Dickies tag. Zoom in what the hell is on this damn thing if we can. AB Van soap beanie. Oh, Bri, you got that beanie that you took in that picture. Shredded mozzarella, hash browns, sticky rice. Whatever this was $5.98 a piece. And there's the Dickies tag right there we've heard about. $12.97. One size fits all. So this was probably the freaking coveralls or overalls, whatever the hell they call those things. But there's a beanie number one. Beanie number one. Hmm. So maybe Brian was cold, right? Let's see what the marshals say. You bought gourmet food at Marshall's? What? Men's furnishing. So he bought some stuff for the house. Whatever the gourmet food. What the hell? I didn't even know Marshall sold food. Unless those are like plates or something. Let's look at that receipt again. You said it matches the price of another item. So the beanie is $12.97. Okay, I got you. So this is a Dickies beanie then. It's not the freaking coveralls or whatever that people were saying. You sure are right. Good eye. Good eye. So we bought a beanie and that's what it is. All right. Well, that explains that. For all these years, we've been talking about this bullshit about it being what he wore. Um, what he wore to cover all the black coveralls. Is that what he wore? Fire resistant, blood resistant, all kind of resistance. All right, that makes a lot more a lot more sense. God, Brian was going through some cash though, man. This is a booking number for a budget rent a car, probably for his dad. Mileage this much. Did he rent a car? Did Brian rent a car? Or was he looking at renting a moving truck or something? That's interesting. Wow, bear spray. Spray that in somebody's eyes. It's gonna make them disorientated. They ain't gonna be able to see. They ain't gonna be able to scream. They ain't gonna be able to do nothing. There's that magical canister right there. See, now we're getting to the tag and bag portions of all this. Take the picture without the tag, and then you take the picture with the tag. And you bet your ass there's videos on all of this. All of it. Damn, his microwave was spotless. Don't look at my microwave. You judge me quick. Is that a SIM card? Exhibit A right here. Whatever the hell that is. I remember they talking about some stuff on the counter that they found. You think Brian shaved in the sink? Well, there's the mouse pad. Do you see any hair visible to the naked eye? Obviously, it's right here somewhere. Do you see any hair? Oh, there it is right there. There's the strand of hair, the dog hair. Interesting. I guess that wasn't a lie then. So, Brian, we got some of your pubic hair on the wall. There's some hair right there. Not trying to be nasty, y'all, but some of the stuff is evidence. There's hair right there. Right here. Curly hair, so that probably came from his head. Mama, I'm in love with a criminal. Why the hell I got that song in my head? It just came out of nowhere. Yeah, they put that drain plug. Nasty ass shit. They should have put a camera down in there. See if they would have got any kind of evidence out of the drainage. But it was long gone. It was, like I said, 3 something weeks, 3.5 weeks, almost 4. Is there another dog hair on this one? Let's see. It would be right here. I don't see anything on this one, but I did see on the other one. Oh, Bri. Isn't it interesting how you look at somebody's life and the stuff that you see about them that you, oh, there it is. There's that thing right there. Wow. There's hair under his mouse pad for sure. There you go, Jack. Here's the pillow. Now we get to something that's juicy. Jack, if you're still in here, I hope you saw that dog hair under that. And there's another piece of hair, another strand of hair. It's black looking, so it's probably from him. Wonder if there's drool all over this. Some kind of substance right here. Maybe that's what they said, the brownish blood substance. There's another one. There's one. There's one. As we know, the dude cut himself shaving a lot. So, was there really anything of essence on these? Oh, now we get to the sheets. That looks like a big old stain right there. Y'all see that? I know you see it. You see it, right? Haven't said that in a while. You see it, right? Looks like a big old stain right there. Brian, you sweat a lot in your sleep, bro? There's some more, whatever that substance is, right there. Brian, you be leaning over the side and letting her go? Damn. Can you imagine having the world to see your jizz spots? There's a tower. Obviously, that's evidence. There's that vacuum cleaner. You bet your ass they took that vacuum cleaner apart piece by piece. There's another Ziploc bag down there. Can't believe I'm wasting time on this. And they said there was something on that light switch. Nasty. You know what makes sense to me right now? Like we were talking about Brian being meticulous with things of importance. That could have been why he left the knife sheath. It didn't have that sense of value that the knife had. It's like, oh, it's just a sheath, or he got interrupted as they specify. But as we see here, he takes time for the meticulous things, but the things that he doesn't view as, oh, damn, he was in office number 12. What? The things he doesn't view as important, they're easily discarded as non essential. Can you imagine sharing an office with him? See, that Asian girl had to have wrote this. Same smiley face killer. You're welcome, Sirius. Because that's what it shows to me is you're meticulous about certain things in your kitchen, what you use, as you view as valuable for you, but the things that are not valuable to you or have any kind of connection to you, just kind of you discard them like they're not important. Yeah, I saw this from somebody else. They were going over this. As we know, they didn't find anything in this office worth using for evidence or anything. They probably had all those books up here on the bookshelf. That Asian girl had it bad for Brian. He could have cared less, it seems like. See what I mean? If this was his drawer in his desk, he didn't care enough to clean out the little pieces of paper. And that could have been everything that was thrown all over the place with paperwork from his desk. Took it home. Probably knew he was on his way out. But look, he left certain stuff. And that is it, folks. That is the end of the reel. God, that was a lot. I hope you liked what you saw. If you liked the presentation, please hit the like, subscribe, and share. Once again, my name is 12 Gauge, and this is my channel, 12 Gauge Investigative. You guys be safe out there and watch your six. See you around.